Hey guys, J-Man here, and we are back in the Phantom Zone. Haven't had one of these in a while. This is just going to be a very loose stream. We're going to talk about horror movies, not just horror movies of this year, but just horror movies in general and kind of the changes and what were some of our favorites, kind of maybe even growing up, and how our tastes have changed, and just the kind of the state of horror movies. A lot of horror movies came out this year that have to do with franchises. So that we had a Texas Chainsaw, we had a Halloween. We've got some new franchises starting up with Terrifier and with X and Pearl. And I don't know if there's going to be any more continuing from Barbarian or not. But so yeah, we're just going to talk. It's going to be super loose. But really quick, just a couple of updates. So this Tuesday, we're going to be back. Steven and I were going to talk about wrestling on our Tuesday show. So the Women of Wrestling, the weekly Women of Wrestling, that'll be this Tuesday. Thursday, Sean and I are going to be back doing the Days of High Adventure. We're going to talk about Conan the Barbarian, the 2011 movie. Obviously, the Schwarzenegger movie, everyone knows that's my favorite movie of all time. I also like Conan Destroyer. I don't care. I'll fight you. And the Conan 2011 movie I hadn't seen since the theaters since 2011. I rewatched it for a stream I did on the Action Elite. And I had some interesting thoughts about the 2011 movie. So Sean and I are going to break that down on Thursday. I believe it's this Thursday. I could be wrong. I'm like the worst on dates. Yeah, it should be not this Thursday. It'll be next Thursday. Sorry, the 8th. Actually, it'll be the 9th. It'll be the 9th. God, see how bad I am. Just make sure you got the notification bell hit, because that's the only way you're going to get anything out of me. All right. So with all that out of the way, I'm not going to talk about this by myself. So let's bring in our first panelist. Hey, Sean.
It's Thursday the 5th, no?
Is it the 5th? Let's
yeah. See. The year starts on Sunday.
Oh, that's right. It is the 5th. I was right.
Yeah.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
My calendar on here it's not showing me. Normally it shows you the next week. I don't know what happened, but like some notifications were blocking it.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't see. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not right. I'm like, oh shit, it is right. Okay, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's too confusing. I've had so many streams, and I've been on other people's streams now, so I'm completely confused. Yeah. All right. Let's bring our next panelist in. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
Okay, so we've got someone here, first time appearing on my stream. We've seen him on Clobberin Times. The link to Clobberin Times is in the description of this video and all other videos as well. I don't have an intro for you, buddy. Let me see what can I give you. That's a good one. What can I give you? I can give you this one. I don't know if you're gonna like this one. I really like this movie. I'll give you this one, and if you don't like it, let me know, and I'll try to find something else. But it's appropriate for today.
Garbage day.
Huh?
No.
Oh man, I love Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Yeah.
I like some cheese, man. I won't be talking about cheese too much today, but when it comes to cheese plus horror, that's a magical combination.
Yes. Oh, it is. So
Yuzna, shout out to Brian Yuzna, man.
Oh, I met Brian Yuzna.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, he signed. I should have had that ready. He signed my Return of the Living Dead Part 3 VHS. And when I met Don Coscarelli, the tall man, Reggie Bannister, and they signed my VHS copy of Phantasm 3.
Oh,
but I also got Angus and Dawn to sign a poster for Phantasm 4, which I rotate these. So I put Jason Goes to Hell because everyone hates Jason Goes to Hell. So I wanted to just spite everyone and say, ha, I like Jason Goes to Hell.
I don't hate Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, that's it, Steve. You're off the stream. You got to go.
Well, the thing is, for me, with my professional background, I look at Jason Goes to Hell as a comic book movie.
Right.
If you think about it as a comic book that's made into a film, it's actually pretty charming. If you're gonna hold it to a different standard, then okay. Right. But
I think it's the first one that made it into a comic book adaptation.
Yeah,
exactly. I had those, the Topps comics.
Kind of a reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
And then after that was crazy because we had Jason versus Leatherface. I have those issues. Nightmare on Elm Street had a lot of comics. I've got some of those. I've got Child's Play. I've got Puppet Master.
The Marvel magazines, they were great for
those and Warren, James Warren, Jim Warren magazines, eerie, creepy, Vampirella.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were more hardcore than any of the Marvel ones.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think I have one creepy from like that I got at a show God ages ago. I just randomly grabbed one or whatever. Well, Sean and we just hit that comic show and there's a lot of stuff. Hey, how's it going?
Yes.
Charlie, I'm assuming, I don't know if it's Charlie or Nate.
It's probably Charlie. Yeah.
But how's it going, dude? Charlie, if you want to come on, man, let me know. I can throw you the link up. So Charlie does a podcast, and they usually record the podcast tonight. So, I didn't want him on. That's why I did it tonight. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But okay, so just before we get into the backs of this year, we had Scream 5, Texas Part 100 or whatever they're on.
Yeah.
We had Hellraiser.
Yeah.
We had Halloween.
Oh yeah.
So that's a lot of continuation. That's a lot of franchise movies. I'm trying to.
And that's just the movies. It's not even counting Chucky the TV show season 2.
Sure, let's count that. Let's count Child's or whatever. Yeah, Chucky TV series season 2. Was it Scream 5? It was Scream 5.
Yeah, Scream
right?
5.
Texas Chainsaw. Okay, so there's the 4. Then it's the remake. Then it's the prequel to the remake.
Right.
Then it's 3D.
It's 3D. Then it's Leatherface TV.
Yeah.
The super prequel.
Yeah.
And then there's this one. So this was the 9th one. Wow. And Hellraiser's up to 10, I believe, because we got the 4. Then we got.
It's 11. No.
No, maybe it's 11.
Because it's 10 all the way to the last.
No. Hellworld is 8.
Okay.
It's 11. It's 11.
It's 11.
Hellworld is number 8. Number 9 is Revelation. Number 10 is Judgment.
You're the only one I can name now.
Inferno. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is Bloodline. 5 is Inferno. Then it's Hellseeker. Then it's Deader. Then it's Hellworld. Then it's Revelation. Then it's Judgment. Then it's Remake or whatever.
J-Man's
I feel so old now.
Yeah,
I feel so old. This is reminding me. I'm having a bad flashback to when there were suddenly like 15 different X-Men titles in the comic book world, and everything had this. Oh, dude, just call me Rip Van Winkle for the rest of the stream. That's me.
Well, I'm Texas Chainsaw. I own all the Texas. I own all the Hellraisers. Nice. I own all of these things. So I just keep buying them, even if I don't like them. I just buy them. So for new horror movies that came around, there's Barbarian. I think X and Pearl came out in the same year.
Wow.
Yep.
Nope. I don't know. Do you count Nope as a horror movie?
Nope's a horror.
Yes, I definitely do. I definitely do.
Yep. So Nope.
Sci-fi horror, specifically a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
So like, for example,
horror.
if you think of the scariest, nastiest 1960s Outer Limits, not the color remakes later on, I actually think it really corresponds to a 1960s Joe Stefano Outer Limits episode. And I know that the gentleman who made the film has a lot of politics that a lot of people have problems with, but this was a fairly politics-free movie, which is why I was willing to give it a chance.
Yeah, I'll say this right now. I never get too deep into the creators unless it's an old school guy like John Carpenter or something. Because I find that I get into them and then they have these weird politics. And the other thing is like, I'm not Jordan Peele's friend. So I don't care. I'm not his friend. I'm going to judge the film that you make. If I like the movie, which I thought Nope was pretty good, that's all I care about. If you're a jerk after that, or if I don't care. Like,
yeah, and he had a real twist to it, unlike M. Night Shyamalan Bing Bong with most
I
of his
agree with that. Did you guys watch Old? That was the last Shyamalan movie
I didn't want to. No, I want to watch this new one though. The Cabin. What was it called? The Cabin at the End of the World or something like that. I think that's the book, but I don't know what the movie is.
I watched Old for 2 reasons. Number one, Riff Tracks ripped it a new one.
Oh my god!
They were really funny with that, but I watched it, I watched the film and I watched it with their commentary. But the other reason I watched it was I wanted to see if there was the proper reason for what I consider the failure for that film, which excuses it, which is it is actually based off a graphic novel from two very French people, Belgian people. and so, their understanding of a horror graphic novel is very different to me, who is a Bernie Wrightson baby. That's how old I am,
Wow.
So I'm always thinking in terms of horror of E.C. and Bernie Wrightson and Jim Warren, and then you have people who are 15 years younger than me, and they think this is a graphic novel of horror, and I'm thinking, no, it is not. No.
Well, I mean, I saw Old. My wife and I watched it. It's okay. I don't know. It's
interesting.
Smile came out as well. Steve saw that one in the theater.
Yeah.
And I'll let you comment on that in a second. My 14-year-old niece saw that in the theater, so that's when I knew that this is not going to be something that I care about. But Steve, what were your thoughts on Smile? You thought it was kind of generic, right? Or
yeah, it was very much like it's literally like it to me. It's prototypical of horror these days, which is the laziest way to do things, which is just they'll put in a shape or a shadow or something, and there will be a jump, like a jump pop, like, well, and people will freak out. Literally, and I said this before and I'll say it again, literally you would think we were watching The Exorcist when it first came out in the theater. They were screaming throughout the entire movie.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, it's just someone smiling. I mean, people tried to convince me that, it's creepy smiling. I'm like, but it's just someone walks up to you and they're smiling. It's like, who cares? Like,
dude, this is what happens when you raise people on SpongeBob.
Yeah, it's just the thing is, it actually the crowd reaction became irritating to me because it's just encouraging people to continue to do movies in this manner, which is just not interesting to me. Like, it's just. What, and that let's discover what's going on. It's like, I know what's going on. I'm not an idiot. I'm not 5 years old. I can follow a script like a plot.
Yeah.
So
you know what the word trope is.
Yeah.
Or today, apparently.
And this is going to sound absolutely terrible, but I don't care about people committing suicide.
No!
Like,
dude.
it's just I don't care. Like. It's just like, this thing forces you to kill yourself in front of someone. It's like, okay. Oh my God! It's just
appropriate. Yes.
It's just, I don't know. It's as a horror thing, just making people to commit suicide. It's the same thing as a happening. Like, all these people were just committing suicide, and I was just like, yeah, it does nothing for me. Like,
there's a lot. That's a whole subgenre now. It's like Empty Man did that, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I don't like visually. It's not interesting to me. It's just like someone's going to kill themselves. Like, okay, well, convince them not to. Well, they're forced to.
Well,
how?
This really you brought up a very interesting point, Stephen. Is it Stephen or Stefan? What do you prefer?
Stephen.
Because a lot of this seems to be coming from a fascination with suicide ideation with people under the age of 25. And so when they're talking about this, and a lot of this started with this whole creepy pasta crap, message boards, etc. So I can kind of understand that people are trying to glom onto that in making feature films, but I'd like them to be a little bit more intelligent with it and take a little bit more time and a little bit more care considering such serious subject matter and make a real film out of it versus just cheese whiz suicide flavor.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is, Hungry. It's just like they're just, it's so scary because this person smiles at you and then you want to commit suicide. And I'm like, visually, it's I grew up in the era of the 80s slasher net. I grew up with like visceral thrills. Seeing is not visceral thrilling. It's not thrilling to me to just see someone standing there smiling and then they speed up the frame rate or they slow down the frame rate so it runs right up to you. And it's like, ooh, and these people are scared. And I'm like, screaming. And I'm like,
That's old ever since Ringu.
Yeah.
Ringu did that back in the damn 90s.
Yeah.
With the frame rate thing. So, I mean, just because it's new to somebody who was born with earbuds instead of an umbilical cord doesn't mean it's new, doesn't mean it's new to us.
My wife loved the Ring books. She read all of those books. And then I saw the movie. I thought, yeah, it's okay. The thing is, for me, I like, it's got to be creatures and monsters or slashers, or if it's going to be a ghostly thing,
yes,
then has to, like, I really like The Others with Nicole Kidman. I thought that was
fantastic choice. Yes.
That was a fun movie. So then it's got to be well done, like well acted. It's got to be a bit creepy. You have to really try hard for me to like one of these ghosts. But I love Exorcist 3. I know I don't know. I like 1 and 3 equally. I don't think 1 is so much better than, I love Exorcist 3. I thought it was very cool. But then I don't like Ring or Grudge or these other ones. Now, again, I did like It Follows, which is one of these newer kind of cheesier ones, but they tried to make it a bit more serious. So I thought that was kind of neat. Or
now we're going to fight
monsters, you know?
Now we're going to fight on It Follows. But with Exorcist 3, see, here's the thing, going back to exactly what you said, and we're not an echo chamber, so there's going to be times I'm going to completely agree, and then there's going to be It Follows, okay? So, with what you were saying before, when you look at a perfect, scary, haunting film before The Others, like The Changeling with George C. Scott, that is an awesome movie, terrifying film. You go to the 70s with Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps even mentioning the title. And one of the sexiest undead we've ever seen. And a redhead, by the way. Hollywood, leave her alone. Don't remake that film. And you look at these other films you're talking about, particularly Exorcist 3, one of my favorite character actors in all of history, Brad Dourif.
Oh, yeah.
The film would have been nothing without Brad Dourif. And he owns that in every single moment. And people think, oh, here's Brad Dourif. Hey, bitch, you seen Chucky? That's Brad.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I got to see Exorcist 3. Yes, bitch, you do.
Oh, he's so good in that. My God.
It's magnificent. He's just a character actor's character actor. And so is George C. Scott. So a lot of what we really enjoy, we can enjoy some of the cheesy moments and some of the really scary moments in a film, but a lot of it comes down to a director having the guts to have character actors versus just tropes and cliches. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that visual.
Hello, Mr. Angel. Thank you for dropping in. Yes, I love
Mr. Angel's here. and then, of course, in the opposite direction, we have It Follows.
Yeah. So what happened with It Follows? The thing is that when I watched it, I thought, I don't even know why I watched it. I thought it was going to be garbage. I thought this is kind of neat. And then I showed it to my wife, and she can't watch horror, but she's very slowly. And I thought, oh, this is it's not really that bad. It's not so scary. You can watch this one. So I showed her that, and then I showed her The Others. It's like, I feel like it's a good get you to the good horror movie.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Smile's too cheesy. It's like, it's just like, oh, they're smiling. This was a bit creepy. We're like, well, someone's just following you. I'm like, that's kind of weird, because you might feel in real life, like, is that guy following me? Like, why? So I thought that was a good gateway movie. And it worked. So my theory panned out, because she liked it. And then she started to get into more of the other.
Well, I have a psychological theory as to why women respond to It Follows more than men do. And I don't want to get too deep here, but women suffer stalking more than men do, although we do suffer stalking. And so It Follows is basically a supernatural metaphysical stalker film. And and also this is something else that happens to women. I'm not getting woke here, I promise you. But there are guys who will pretend to be other guys who will stalk over the internet in that way. And so even if a woman doesn't consciously realize that's going on in the film, it's going on in the film.
Right.
This thing is recreating itself to be someone you trust to come and do horrible things to you.
Right, there you go.
And I respect that part of it. But they were very sloppy with the lore, and they just went too far with the millennial. Oh my God, I'm looking at my little clam-shaped thingamy that's kind of an iPod, but it's kind of a phone. And I just couldn't stand that part of it, you know.
I think technology has ruined so many because
Yes.
you're just like just call someone. You're like, damn it! So they always have to have
How
that
the
scene where,
bars, you know?
I don't
Yeah.
have it right. They have to have it in every movie now because it's
Yeah.
like,
I
why
know.
don't you just escape?
All about the bars, and then you just get
I
on with the rest of it. Yeah.
I forgot to. Do we count like Prey, like Predator? Is that horror or not really? I mean, I would count that more as like action.
I would
or-
say it's a sci-fi action horror film. Sorry,
Yeah.
monster movie. Sci-fi
Monster
action
movie.
monster movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Prey is another one. So we had a
Yes.
Scream, a Texas, a Predator, a Halloween, a Hellraiser. That's just this year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then the newer horror movies, yeah, we had Nope, we had Barbarian, which I thought, I don't know if you guys saw Barbarian. I thought the
Yeah.
first half was like, I thought both halves were great, but not when you put them together.
No.
It's like the first half was like serious, creepy horror, like, ooh, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. But then the last half of that movie was a schlock fest with like a creature woman, which I'm okay with. They just made the whole. They had a naked woman. She was like
I
a
know.
naked 90-year-old woman. I'm like, you
I
can't
know.
kill
Yeah.
anyone. But she had super strength. She like breaks.
she
through
could crush
shit.
heads and like
Crush
rip off
heads and
arms.
I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're not that. How did you get superpowers by being?
What are the
naked?
rules? With a good horror film or monster movie or sci-fi film, you have to set up the rules for the creatures. Otherwise, you're being lazy. What are the rules? And so
Mhm.
I looked at what other people were saying about Barbarian, and they started complaining, the rules are a bit sloppy. And I thought, from what they're saying, and for those of you who have seen the film, from what they were saying, and for you who have seen it, it felt like they were kind of inspired by the most gut-wrenching episode of the X-Files called Home, but they just didn't want to do the work. And I thought, I'm not gonna spend 2 hours of my life watching this film when I've got to go and have my happy film buddy night with Raquel showing her good stuff. Oh, and by the way, speaking of science fiction horror, for this week, I showed her Altered States.
Oh, that's a cool movie.
That was a challenge for her. That was a challenge.
Yeah. Gosh, I
Body
haven't
horror.
seen that since it came out. I thought,
Oh, it's
I got to
fantastic.
rewatch that. Well,
Everybody's got to watch that.
I checked out Colossus,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Corbin. That was awesome. So I watched that one right after you guys recommended that one. But yeah, I think I don't know. So Sean, did you finish Barbarian? Or did you get through it? Or
Yeah,
not?
I didn't hate it as much as you. I just
No, I don't hate it. It's just what the hell.
I was just indifferent because they do that change of pace all of a sudden, right? And she was awesome because she like destroys people. But I don't understand because she could break through walls. It's kind of weird because then if she could do all this, why is she in that house? Like why?
Right.
Yeah, and I think they kill the father, and then that's it. You never go back to him. And it's like, well, like spoilers, but like, but it's like they never really did anything with that guy.
Right, and you've got Brake. What is it, Rich? I always think it's Richard. It's Richard Brake or Robert Brake. It's Richard Brake, right? What's the guy's name? Rob Zombie uses him in every movie. He's like the villain in every Rob Zombie movie.
And the social commentary was sloppy. Like
it's awful.
It's a poor area, and the cops don't want to go there. At the end.
Yeah, whatever. That's a lie. That was such a stupid
Yeah.
lie. The woman this isn't someone who's coming up to you calmly saying, "Hi, there's someone." She's like beaten to shit. She's bleeding. She's all cut up. Oh,
Yeah.
I need help. Oh, you're just messing around. It's like, what? It's like
Yeah.
it was like so obviously like anti-police or something.
It's-
I'm like,
yeah.
this is really bad.
It's
That's
too
not,
on
that's
the
not
nose.
subtext. That's metatext. You know, you sound like Raquel. I'm sorry, but also, J-Man, you're a writer, so you know what I mean by subtextual versus metatextual. And so if you're talking about that police stuff, you're not going subtextual anymore. And
Yeah.
that's what makes a really
You
great
should just
horror
turn to
film.
the screen.
Yeah,
Police are bad. just
and-
say it.
And I don't want to talk about this film at all. I just want to make a joke about it. The metatext versus subtext, the remake of Black Christmas. Not
didn't
talking
watch
about it.
Oh
I didn't watch it. Did anyone
No.
watch it?
no.
No, I have the original.
thank
I'm
you.
good.
Don't.
Yeah.
It's
Zero- I have
basically
zero
it's Tumblr as a horror film. Okay, that's it.
The original is
But-
a Canadian classic. Man.
Yeah,
You can't-
we're Canadians.
know.
We'll never support that remake. That's all.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
you're speaking to a Cronenberg fan from
Oh.
way back.
Yeah.
Way back, and other independent horror films too. I mean, this is the other thing. Like when I'm going to be talking about films, you guys I'm glad you're going to be talking about the films you're going to be talking about, but for me, it's mainly going to be about the independents. The independent horror films, the stuff that ends up on Tubi or briefly on Netflix, etc., didn't get a wide release, maybe didn't get a release at all. But this goes back to, and this is something J-Man has mentioned before, the love of Roger Corman, because with Tubi and Netflix, etc., these are the new drive-ins. These are the new double feature matinees. This is the new grindhouse, which allowed the 50s to flourish with monster and horror films, and allowed the late 60s through the mid 70s with films as awful as they were, but still fun and entertaining, like Squirm, to be shown at 11 Squirm to be shown at 11:50 p.m. on a Friday night. And we now have a recurrence of that. And then we also have the beautiful crowdfunding paradigm, whereas I don't think The Void, I'm not jumping in here. I want you guys to talk about your films first, and I'll get to The Void later. I'm just preempting it a little bit. Without crowdfunding, Void could never have happened. And it is a crowdfunded film. Right. And it is just amazing that it looks like it was made for $200,000 and it was made for 85.
Yeah.
Well, so I just recently, when The Void came out, 2016 or something like that?
Around that. But you guys talk about your movies. We'll get to The Void later. You were talking about other things.
Well, I was just saying, Scream 5, it was like, that was okay. Texas, Prey, I was like, Halloween Ends. The only one I liked was Hellraiser, where I could say I liked Hellraiser. That was the only one where I would say I liked, and feel confident. Texas was like, okay. I like gore, so I'm good with him killing everyone on that bus, but like, that was pretty much, for me, everyone knows The Terrifier was my big super favorite movie. I love Terrifier 2. I don't know. I think it's a masterpiece of like over the top schlock violence. And
the Joker graphic novel you always wanted but never got.
We're never right. Can you imagine Raquel watching The Terrifier?
No,
she would not last. I would
No.
say Terrifier 2. I would say 10 seconds and it would be turned off. The very first shot of Art the Clown nailing that guy, you're like, holy crap, is that where we're at in this movie? It just started. It's like, it just started. You're like, this is the most violent thing of all time. And it's the first minute of Terrifier 2.
There are so many films that I like on Twitter. I've got this joke. I say to Raquel, who I refer to as the doyenne out of respect, good old fashioned French word. I say, this is on your no-fly zone list.
Right.
All right. And a lot of these films, even if they've got a science fiction base and she likes horror, they're on a no-fly zone list. So she loves Frankenstein. Frankenstein's Army, no-fly list for you.
Well,
House by the Cemetery, House by Fulci, no-fly list.
I've got that one.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorites.
And Brian, All Hallows Eve is the baby version of Terrifier.
Baby version.
I watch All Hallows Eve. I watch All Hallows Eve. It's like, oh, what a cute little horror movie this is. And it's like the children are decapitated and their heads are left in the bed. I'm like, that's the baby version. That's the cute version of Art. Oh, you're so cute, Art. You're just killing them softly in this movie. Wait till you get to Terrifier 1.
Thank God Raquel's not lurking right now. Even the words would be killing her.
I'll do my one graphic just to get this one out of the way, just in case she does pop in. Gotta get my scanners.
No, oh my God, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Me too.
Geez. And again, going back to character actors, which we'll talk about, and independent films, which we'll talk about, because that was creating the franchise. It wasn't the franchise, it created the franchise. And Michael Ironside. I love Michael Ironside.
Yes. Steve, okay, tell your Michael Ironside connection.
I was in grade 11 shop class, and this guy came as a supply teacher, and he writes his name up on the board, and it's Mr. Ironside. I'm like, what? Like Michael Ironside? He's like, yeah, he's my brother. So I literally sat there and talked to him about his brother and his brother's movies, like for the remainder. I didn't care about shop anyway, so I certainly didn't care that day. So I just talked to him all about his movies. I'm like, what movie was he the most disappointed in doing? He's like, Highlander 2.
Oh, stop it, Steve! I'm so upset. I had the Highlander 2 poster.
He
Everyone
said
knows I
he
love Highlander 2.
literally came in thinking he was making another movie than what he was making.
Right. What about Visiting Hours? Did he think that was better?
Hey,
I'm
hold
just
on.
joking. I own Visiting Hours. I love Visiting. Stop it. Stop it. I love Visiting Hours.
But
it.
Michael Einstein, this and the science fiction connection with Highlander. I mean, he's this crux point in this discussion today because he and Robert Englund were the reasons I watched V.
Of course,
Yes, there were hot
yeah.
chicks.
Yeah.
There were hot chicks in V, and I was probably going to watch it anyway. But when I went, but Robert Englund was so funny and so cute, and Michael Ironside was just so tough and chilling, and they made that series for me. And there's so many horror elements in V as well. We're being used as food. We are cattle. That is a horror movie element in a sci-fi series. And then the ripping off the face, revealing the whole reptilian under
eating a rat,
there's so many horror elements and very Canadian horror elements in that film.
I think that right there where my finger's pointing, that is one of the visitors, the dolls where you can remove the face and the thing. I think that's the only
thing. And in the TV miniseries, they have the figures and they never release them.
They never released those.
Yeah. Well, Jane Badler, I've got Jane Badler's autograph. She's awesome. I would have joined. I told her I would have instantaneously joined. Like when Jane Badler shows up, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you guys. Oh, we're lizard people. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like lizard people. Bosk is a cool character. I always thought Bosk looked cool. I'm like, I'll join you guys. I would join in 1 second.
My attitude would have been to Jane Badler. Okay, all right. As long as you don't take your human skin off, you give me 2 weeks with you, doing anything I can do with you in the bedroom. You can turn me into a goulash. You can turn me into burgers. You can do anything you like with me. I'll die a happy man.
Brian, I've got the 6 scale as well, and I ordered the Umbrella epic version of all 3 movies, and you get all this other stuff. So I'm all that. V, I love V. It's great. What else? So the big disappointments for me was Pearl and X, and a lot of people liked those movies. I don't know if anyone else has watched Pearl or X.
I have to admit I have not. So I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone else watched these because I kind of gave
you shot on them and I didn't watch them.
Yeah, I heard about that in Midsummer. I don't know.
Midsummer.
Oh yeah, Midsummer.
Yeah.
Were the 2 big ones people were talking about. I didn't watch either one.
I watched the competitor though. The competitor for Midsummer, which I'm going to recommend to you guys if you haven't seen it. I know I've recommended it to J-Man, which is The Ritual, and I will recommend that one. But I'm going to warn you, there's a lot of padding for the film, and the one mistake that the guy made when he made The Ritual is that he's basically writing it like a horror novel that Raquel would really like, and he's forgetting it's a movie. Okay, so it's a movie. You can't have 2/3 of the film be laying out little Easter eggs of psychology, which are going to be the reasons for what happens to the characters later on, and not having anything interesting for 2/3 of the damn film until we get to the last third of the film. But when they actually get to the creature, when they get to, for lack of a better term, the villain, the threat, etc., it is amazing, and it actually is very correspondent to pagan Norse mythology.
So, Hungry, is it 2021 or 2017? There's 2 Ritual movies.
I think it might have been 2017.
So 2017. Let me see what that one looks like.
I mean, basically, the first 2/3 of the film are guys who have a beef with each other over a loyalty to each other, but a beef with each other, taking a very long hiking camping trip.
It's 2017. I was just gonna say because I can see when I go to where I go to, I can see clips. And I just see guys hiking, so that's the one then, right? Okay.
I might have seen it. There's a monster at the end, no?
Oh, it's more than a monster, dude. It's
more than a monster. I've seen it. Yeah, no, I liked all that stuff at the end. It was cool.
Yeah, at the end.
But it's super creepy. It's like they go into one cabin and all sorts of weird stuff happens. But yeah,
very much. But all of that weird stuff is completely correspondent to a lot of pagan religious Nordic rituals that a lot of people don't know about. So this was like me and the crossover between me and Raquel. The academic in me was really getting off on it. And I'm thinking there's 1 in 1,000 people who are going to get this.
Yeah.
Now, that's not necessarily fair to a good horror film, but we need to have these artsy ones made every so often just to,
Right.
back up the rest.
Well,
But there's plenty made now, like A24. Like they,
Yeah,
that's
A24
all they
does.
do, right?
That's Midsummer and
Yeah.
and
I haven't seen
Action. What about-
Midsummer or any of that stuff. I did see The Ritual though. It was on Netflix. So
Yes.
So did anyone watch? Because I'm just going to buy this when it comes out. I buy every Cronenberg movie. I own them all on Blu-ray. Some of them Criterion. Usually when they come out in Criterion, I even buy that. But Crimes of the Future. So that he did a short film like way back. I took a Cronenberg course in university. That's how great Canada is. We have a Cronenberg course in university.
I like that.
No, but he did Crimes of the Future. It was an old short film he did, and he made a feature film of it this year, which I'm just gonna order it on Blu-ray when it comes out. It has not come out yet. So and then so I didn't see it, and then the other one was his son who made Possessor, which I bought on Blu-ray, but I have not watched that yet. Did anyone see either of those two?
No,
I'm going to check them out. I'm going to buy them. I'm going to buy them, stream buy them, but I'm going to buy them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so today, Jen, like my wife and I watched The Whale in theaters. But it's not a horror movie. I guess it is, but whatever. To a degree. But
well, does it eat anyone in it?
They played no, but they played a trailer for the next Cronenberg Son movie, and that looks freaky.
Yeah.
With dudes with like their faces all messed up and stuff.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I got to tell you, I'll jump to the void for a second because I like cults. I like cults and I like creatures,
scary.
and this combined them both. Those cult people, like, oh, I'm dressing up as a cult member for Halloween for sure on that one.
But also, it's really gonna hit you, J-Man. It's gonna hit me because the uniforms, for lack of a better word, for that cult, they're very comic book graphic. They look like they came out of like an Alan Moore graphic novel.
Yeah.
And the whole focus with the triangle, the pyramid, you know, it's just there are so many. This is very much like the best horror graphic novel you could get, which was made into film. And I respected that. And they also were doing, while they were acquiring the money through crowdfunding, they were also still doing pre-development and development on the film. And there's so many things I have to say about this, but I'm going to shut up. You go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for Steve because he hasn't seen it. Sean, did you see Void or no? I can't remember if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw The Void. Yeah,
I saw The Void. Okay.
Yeah.
Steve, I think I lent it to you. If not, I'll re-lend it to you. Because I remember when it came out, I was looking forward to it because it was sold on practical effects. Like it's creature effects, it's practical. People were saying it's kind of like The Thing, right? So that's kind of where I got. But then, and I'm telling you, I don't know when like Squid Game has that exact.
Yeah.
Did you not think
talking about that? Yeah.
Because when I was watching, I was like, hey, they've got like the Squid Game mask or whatever, right? But I did like Squid Game, but I mean the cult guys. I just gonna say it's literally Assault on Precinct 13 and The Thing. So just think, instead of the precinct, call it Hospital 13. It's basically they're stuck in a hospital, and instead of the biracial combined gang where they all combine and do the blood oath or whatever, it's just all these cultists in these robes, and then inside, so outside it's Assault on Precinct 13, but inside it's The Thing, because there's creatures. You're like, okay, you can't go inside because these assholes are surrounding the place, and then you can't go anywhere inside because there's monsters. So I'm like, this is awesome.
But that is so psychologically threatening because that is damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's also bringing up good, like Forbidden Planet is the Tempest without being the Tempest, right? It's subtextual, as we said. Yeah. Now, this one is basically talking about, all right, you have the obvious enemy, but then there's the fifth column, as they say. And the fifth column is already in the hospital. It's in there with you. Yeah. And you think the guy that's helping you is helping you. He's not helping you. Yeah. He's not helping you at all. And they also had the guts to have some irritating characters who were still understandable, but a lot of the secondary characters, just like Assault on Precinct 13, are really fascinating characters in and of themselves. And they only have one character who is useless for the sake of being useless, and that's the little millennial gal, who's so focused on her social medias, etc. And we won't even go into her. But you need her to offset the other ones. And they knew when to go into the practical effects. Unlike that prequel to the thing that came out that promised us practical effects, and then it was. Don't. It's bloody crying shame. It's bloody crying shame. Because they went CGI after they created all the beautiful models and etc. But with this one, they did go full practical, and they know when to show a little bit of what's going on, and then to show a lot of what's going on. And then there was one point, no spoilers, but when they're getting into the bowels of the building, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And they encounter the medical mistakes.
Oh my God, those were the best.
They were the best. And I'm sitting there going, oh, look, it's Frankenstein's army done by an adult.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. And like the one person who, who's on the table, I'm like, well, what are you gonna, like the guy, the guy shows up, you're like, yeah, this is over. Like, you're like, what are you supposed to do here? Yeah, and then the main villain is on. It looked like Psycho Gorman. I'm like, Psycho Gorman came from this guy. He's like there. He's like, and it's like, I've got this like portal. You're like, okay, this guy's awesome. I don't know. It was great. Okay, so question, Hungry Boy, did you draw your avatar, Mr.
Oh, absolutely, and that's only a portion of it. I mean, I'll have to. I don't know if we'll have time, but the full picture is actually Judge Dredd facing off with my version of an undead Pennywise the Clown.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
And it's all pen and ink, and it's Pennywise with the full fangs and everything, and the sort of the rotting clown nose. And the original caption, the original caption is "Make me laugh, perp."
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's pencils and inks, all traditional, no digital, and that's the way I do all my horror art, and all comic book art. So later on,
you use the big page, like the.
I generally will draw things either the standard from 1968 onward size, which is Murphy Anderson made everything go 10 by 15. But lately, I've been going to the original sizes like Jack Kirby was working on in 66, 65, 63, which is referred to as double up, which is a significantly larger size. And that is very freeing for an artist. But I can understand exactly, and then we'll get back to the horror films, why Jack Kirby was so disgruntled and very upset that Murphy Anderson changed everything in the comic book industry by saying, well, this is easier for me to work on. I can work twice as fast on this speed. Right. And then he pointed out that the printers could actually make the photo negatives. They could do all the pre-press for the artwork twice as fast at 10 by 15 versus the size that Jack preferred working on. Right. And so DC changed to it. Then Stan Lee heard that they were saving money. And of course, Stan Lee's going to save a buck wherever he can. Right. And so that's when Marvel changed to the same size afterwards. And it was a crying shame because a lot of the art was just so much better at the full size.
Yeah, production always rules. I work in the, we make, my day job is I make boxes. And I do displays and stuff like that. And it's like, and we'd get people because like there's a certain, once you pass a certain threshold of a paper size, you're now in this is effing expensive. Right? Yes. Right. It's like 27 by 40. If you want full color litho, like a full litho, and we can, if you go above 27 by 40, you're now looking at crazy amounts for pages, and then you got to order a minimum print run and all this other crap.
Well, this is why you don't.
Crazy.
This is why you don't see a lot of very big art books like IDW were printing. They basically were the niche in the industry for that. And this is why, for a while with Marvel, you had Marvel Treasury editions. Yep. But then, once they were gone. Yeah. Yeah. And you did what you ended up getting instead, like around 1979 to 1982, were these wonderful Archie digest size editions of Conan the Barbarian, and then DC did the same thing. They did it with Green Arrow. and I love those little digest sizes,
I
right?
love
But they
them.
were
Sean loves those. Like, not,
they're
like
great, Sean.
his wife. Every time he brings one home, his wife gets nervous. He thinks he's going to divorce her and marry the digest.
Snacks, yeah. Whew.
But
It's
you know
like drugs.
those coffee table book size things, people don't realize how expensive that is.
Yeah.
And if you go hardcover on top, oh, dude, I mean, it's basically a luxury item. It's a luxury item.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So favorites. So Double C, he likes Dawn of the Dead. Well, everyone likes Dawn of the Dead, man. That's just like a stellar movie.
Yes.
I like Day of the Dead also. I don't care. I'll fight
It's
you.
awesome.
I prefer Day of the Dead to Dawn, I have to admit.
Oh, wow. Interesting. First person. Is that, I think that you're the first person who's ever said that I know of.
Really?
Am I, I don't know. I think so. Like I like the first three. I like Night, Dawn, Day. I like all three of those.
Yeah.
I could flip. I could say Day of the Dead. I did so I took a horror course in university, and I chose Day of the Dead as my presentation.
Good choice.
Because I don't remember my reasoning why, but I usually, because everyone's like, oh, Day of the Dead is trash. I thought, well, let me do Day of the Dead because, you know, everyone wants to talk about Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead. And
Did
all
you say
that.
Trash?
Yeah. Everyone thinks Day of the Dead is
For a long
like,
time, people hated
people
that
thought
movie.
it was. They thought it was a bowl of Greek salad. If you catch that.
Jeez, it's not trash, dude. I mean, it's no. You go on, please.
Yeah. So no, I picked that one to do. I can't remember what grade was on that, but like, yeah, I chose that movie and I thought I think people were like, oh, you know, you got a lot of good points on that. And I don't remember anything. I think I winged it. I usually winged my presentations. I just go up and start talking.
The makeup effects in Day are awesome. It's like it really showed what you could do with. It was Savini just like really brainstorming. Right?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it wasn't the effects. It was actually the conceptual construction of the storyline. Whereas it was kind of like when that movie was coming out. I don't know how old you guys are, but we were going through the Contra stuff. South of the border, okay, and we were there were so many political aspects to it. Like, okay, you have these military guys who have been cut off from all support.
Right,
they're cut off from all support, and they are losing their mind because they do not have a proper chain of command anymore. And how is this going to affect them working with, as they put it, the eggheads, the scientists? Yeah, and that brought a severe amount of tension to it for me, watching the film, and that's why it is so special to me. And how and then you have people like the drunken Irish guy who's like, I'm not military, I'm not a scientist, you know, I just know how to deal with this.
Yeah, that was in my I had a birthday party. It was a slumber party, and we
was it a slumber party massacre?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We rented Delirious, like Eddie Murphy Delirious.
Oh my gosh, yes, every kid rented that.
And Day of the Dead. And Day of the Dead was the last movie we watched. And I was probably way too young to watch it, but like I didn't like it because I didn't like what it made me feel. But becoming older, like when I was a teenager, I was like, that's an awesome movie. It's like it's claustrophobic, it's very doom and gloom. You know, like that Jamaican guy is awesome. I love his big speech about like, you know, reading the statistics and stuff. He's like, what does it mean? Nothing, you know. And as I got older, I learned to really love it. But I think it just hit me in the gut when I was like how old was I? Like 9 or something.
Oh, but Sean, but Sean, that is like the ultimate compliment to George Romero. He would in his grave, he's going, "Thank you, Sean. Thank you. This means so much."
Yeah.
Well, Steve, did you what you've seen? You saw the first 3, I'm assuming, right?
I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And
so what did you think of Day of the Dead? Do you remember what you thought when you first ever saw it, or?
Yeah, I appreciated the gutsiness of it to be very dour and gloomy, because Dawn of the Dead, even though it was, you know, it was a play on, you know, consumerism, obviously, and all that stuff. It ended with the survivors going away, and I thought that was kind of, you know, there's still hope for civilization. Good people got away, but I found with each successive film, Romero got away from that sort of optimism and things were just dour and gloomier, which makes sense because I don't think if there's a zombie apocalypse, we're coming out the other end smelling like roses, right?
Stephen? Yeah. Stephen, if there's a zombie apocalypse, do you think Billie Eilish is going to lead us to victory?
Oh, God. He's the first one I'm feeding to them.
I barely even know. She sang the song to a James Bond movie, right?
Yeah, no, she was strangled while singing the song, and they said that was the song in No Time to Die.
Oh,
Perfect.
no.
Let's print it.
Yeah, print it. It's going to cut. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like everyone's got these big opinions here. Let me tell you, my opinion was I was a kid. I thought, this is awesome. People are getting torn to shreds. That's all I care about. I judge. Everyone's got this big philosophical opinion here. Like when I was watching these movies, I was like, okay, the zombies are destroying people. That's all I care about. I wasn't thinking about what is the political implications of the society? What? It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, look, that guy's yelling at everybody. He's an awesome character.
He's awesome. What are you doing with my time?
Yeah, you waste my time. Greek salad and all that. You're feeding me a bowl of Greek salad. I was like, I like Greek salad. What the heck? So and then he gets torn apart. And he's like, go ahead. It's like, Serrano.
I hope you choke on it.
Choke on him. Choke on him.
Right. So I watched this movie and then I never got the memo that it wasn't supposed to be good. Everyone's like, well, that movie's not that good. I'm like, it's not. It's awesome. I just liked all now and then you know what the problem is that I took film courses. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Then I started to be like, well, maybe it's not as good as Dawn. Yeah, because and then I reverted back. Thank God University ended. And then I reverted back to old. I'm telling you, show me a boy of 12 and I'll show you the man, or whatever it is. It's I don't know what the saying is, but when I reverted back to OG J-Man, where I was just like, yeah, this movie's awesome. Like, who cares what this? And I remember in film class, I would defend stuff like they asked us to do a feminist. Check this out in my film course. They asked us to do a feminist horror movie presentation. You know what I did? Sleepaway Camp 2. and people were just like, is this literally what? I swear to God, Sean, did you not know this?
It's funny because she's not supposed to be a woman.
I know, she's supposed to be a man.
It's played by a woman. Yeah.
It's played by a woman, Bruce Springsteen's sister.
Yeah.
So I did Sleepaway Camp Part 2. Everyone's doing these big movies. Like someone did. Was it what's that Glenn Close? Oh God, Glenn.
You had to bring up Sleepaway Camp because I have had a massive crush. Because in all the films aside from Sleepaway Camp, Felissa Rose is just playing a woman. Okay, and right now she is the MILF queen of the universe.
Yeah,
she is fantastic.
She was in Hatchet Part 4 or something like that. But no, I did Sleepaway Camp Part 2, and everyone's like, okay, like what the hell's this? And somebody did Fatal Attraction. You're like, really? Like, go home.
Oh,
like,
that's a thriller, not a horror to me.
Yeah,
right, it's bullshit horror. It's bullshit. It's my mom's horror. Well, that was quite pretty good. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. It's like, it's like
they only talked about 3 horror movies, right? Like they would only talk about Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and like the big ones that everyone talks about.
Because they don't bother watching any other ones. This is my problem with fellow academics. My fellow academics shit me off. I am like Magneto versus Xavier when it comes to academics. Jesus. But this is why Raquel and I get along so well, because in a way, so is she. We are like the 2-person brotherhood of evil mutants when it comes to sci-fi and horror films. But geez, the whole thing is they tend to forget. Of course, they go for Rosemary's Baby, because it's just because it's so anthropological and it's so of the zeitgeist of the time, and they're forgetting the fact is, these are Satanists making a woman pregnant, you assholes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. This is the focus of the film. You are missing the point. You are completely missing the point. And that is why I think a real horror film always stays on point, whether it's cheesy, whether it's just scary, or whether it's being deep. Because we could go to, and we'll talk about The Void maybe a little bit later, but I mean, The Void is actually very psychologically apt, where it's looking at the psychological effect of people who are confronted with things that they cannot define and they cannot understand. But then you have the cheesy version of that, and so glad this film was made. From Beyond with Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Oh,
Hey,
it's a
Greymalkin.
wonderful
Jeez,
movie.
right?
Now you guys
Trick or Treat. Anything by Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
She
that's a
herself
good
is a
intro.
horror.
Well, she's
fic-
directed everything, so
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Greymalkin,
She's horror.
she is herself a horror. She is the horror genre by herself.
Right. That's what he's saying. I like
nice.
Trick or Treat. I like
Trick or Treat was cool. They were gonna
I
do
like
one a year, and they never did. But yeah,
I did really enjoy that one, and I'm sorry that anthology films often are done by people who don't know what the hell they're doing. But then we have to look at, and I'm sure all you guys talking to you right now, I'm pretty confident you've seen the VHS movies, right?
I own them all.
yeah.
I didn't see 94. No, wait, hold on. There's 4. There's a 5th one coming out.
Yeah.
So I own.
They've got up to 98.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so there's VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral, and then
Yes.
the one after that. I have not seen the one after that. So I saw the first 3,
Yeah.
but I own
And-
them all. I bought VHS 94. I haven't watched it yet. And then there's a 99. You said I didn't see that.
98.
98. Let me look that up.
90, it's set in
That
the
might
year
be the next
98. And I mean, this is an example of what a good anthology horror film is about. And this goes back to films that the young'uns don't know about. Tales from the Crypt,
Yeah, we love
you know, the Amicus films.
Oh yes, yeah.
And even before that, you even had I can't remember I can't remember exactly the title of it, but there was a film in 1944 which was a black and white horror anthology film that had an overriding narrative and what's called bookending narrative.
Yeah.
And
Which one was that?
I can't remember the title. I'd
It
have
was
to
from the
look it up.
40s.
Yes,
That's
it's
awesome.
British.
I'll look it up.
And it was actually very successful, and it had a ventriloquist dummy nightmare segment in it.
Yes.
And, so that was the first ventriloquist dummy horror moment, and that's before Magic. Now, Magic always disappointed me because I'm sorry, I wanted Fats to be a real possessed dummy. I wanted Fats not to be, you know, a separate personality, but hello, schmucko. I wanted that to be real.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins was brilliant in that film. But that was a psychological thriller. It was not a horror film per se,
Yeah.
even though there were murders. And this is something I agree with Raquel over. I do not like when people start saying a psychological thriller is a horror film,
Right.
you know, or they start blurring the lines between genres, because that's just giving people excuses to not do proper horror films.
Yeah, like Silence of the Lambs, like people arguing
That
that's
was
horror.
awesome.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I-
Good point.
I think VHS 2 is my favorite one.
For sure.
I love cheesy horror. I know in the beginning we were saying let's not talk about, but I love cheesy horror. And I think part 2 of VHS is probably the cheesiest one. That's the one with the aliens at the end and all sorts of stupid weird
Well,
stuff.
3's got that time, that like alternate reality. That was kind of cool.
Oh, was that 3?
That was where the
That
guys
was
have
good
that
too. I
dinner
like that
party
one.
and they go through the. 3 is good too. That's got
Yeah.
that skateboarding thing. But
I
VHS 2 is
love-
a masterpiece.
Yeah.
VHS 2
Like
is
to
a
your
masterpiece.
point, Hungry, like I love anthology horror, and like they don't really do it well that often.
Yes.
Right
Well,
now,
you need to get the
I love
right
some
authors.
TV.
You need to get the right authors to write the individual parts. So you need this. Sometimes a director can write their own stuff, but often not. So you need to have the right combination of director and screenwriter for each individual segment. Just, I mean, Creepshow, the first Creepshow is probably the best
Yeah, it's
horror
awesome.
anthology, aside from Tales from the Crypt, the best horror anthology we ever got.
Yeah.
But you had people who knew when to direct, when to write. You had people who knew they knew to work their own side of the street. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you
And-
guys think about this question?
Parts of it.
Would you
I
consider
say
the Twilight
yes.
Zone a horror series? Hungry, I don't know if you can see the comments, but
Yes, I can see.
can see
Are we talking about the film with John? Sorry, John Lithgow.
The original series.
I mean, I guess the original series, because that
the
movie
series
just
or
took
the movie?
the
The
series.
series.
I think the movie just took original episodes and then just made them longer.
The-
right?
Yes.
yeah.
Well, Horror at 47,000 Feet is arguably a sci-fi horror. That part, and also the one that was based on the original episode with Billy Mooney with the psionic kid. I would qualify that definitely as a science fiction horror moment. And that episode of Twilight Zone, so I think Twilight Zone did have individual moments of horror in it, but overall, it's what is referred to as a fantasy series.
Yeah.
In terms of proper genre, with some science fiction thrown in. Now, How to Serve Man is absolutely science fiction horror,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But overall, I would not say that. I would say Outer Limits is half sci-fi, half horror,
Yeah.
and introduced to the American public in television the concept of body horror.
Yeah.
When, you have Robert Culp being turned into an alien, and then he's got a sign language to his wife. He's got to make that little symbol to his wife, and then she, with horror, realizes this is her husband, who she was told was dead. And then you have oh boy, there are so many other ones, like the ones with the little blobby rock creatures. I'm sorry, I can't remember which ones they were, but that one was really, really horrifying. The mice was horrifying. There were so many horror elements, and Joe Stefano was a massive fan of horror films and black and white creepy horror films. So Outer Limits is way more horror than Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Way more horror.
I thought so too. It is more. It does have more horror stories. Did you guys like The Collector? I love these two movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one especially was like super good. The second one was really good, but it was getting a little bit crazier, and I feel like the third one will be absolutely bonkers.
Well, I said they should do. They've got The Collector, The Collection, and they should do The Collected.
I
Right?
think that's
And-
what you're doing.
Good.
That
Nice.
should have been the third one, right? Because it's all about them. Because he was collected, and now he's taken. At the end, the guy who's from Criminal Minds, who's married to JJ's character or AJ Cook's character, he's the hero, and then he gets out in part two and captures the collector, and now he'd be the collected. I thought that'd be kind of a cool. But I do like both Collector movies. Yeah, Collector 2 is insane, which is great. What were the other ones mentioned?
I want to say that the scariest thing about the Twilight Zone movie is the first minute.
Yeah.
With Dan Aykroyd there. Want to see something scary?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, who got someone got decapitated on Twilight Zone the movie, right? Or is that an urban
Yeah,
legend?
that was Vic Morrow.
Okay.
Who was
Yeah,
a
it's a whole
great
thing. Yeah.
who was a great genre actor and very important to science fiction and horror. by
Oh,
the way.
yeah.
He did a lot of stuff, and yeah, that was a tragic loss.
Yeah.
And so that was even in the newspapers in Australia when that happened. So no, that's not an urban legend.
No, yeah, and John Landis was a pariah after that. So
Yeah.
Unfairly
is.
so.
yeah.
Oh, this is the
Unfairly
most
so.
famous of those. I've seen this like everywhere.
Yeah.
Amicus is the best, man. All of their anthology horrors are great, and the Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror
Vault of
movies
Horror,
were awesome. Yeah.
Another
They
one
have
I'd
some
like
really good actors in their movies. I was like shocked when I was seeing the cast.
Yeah, I gave those to Steve.
Oh, I got a special anecdote for you guys. Speaking of that, when you're talking about actors, okay, J-Man, do you like Blake Seven?
For sure.
Okay,
My phone's
Ja-
charging, but my back of my phone is Avon.
All right, well, Jacqueline Pierce Servalan, she was in The Reptile, Hubba Hubba, and she was also in Plague of the Zombies.
Okay,
Oh,
are, we,
wow.
are we allowed to show it?
You don't have to show it, but
Is it going to cancel me? Is it going to? Let me look at it myself before I put it on.
and there are a lot of Hubba Hubba actresses that have the crossover between science fiction and horror that are in some of these movies. And another one that I really, really liked, which again starred Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. I mean, the ultimate team up, right? The ultimate team up
for
in any
sure.
horror film. Oh, look at that. Look at her. Oh, baby. But,
But Servalan, though, she's very mean in Blake 7. She's very mean.
Just as sexy for me. I'm sorry. It's a toss up. But then look at her do a picture for Plague of the Zombies, because she's very winsome in that. Very winsome, to use a writer's word. Look at the poor girl being turned into a zombie. That's not right. That's not fair.
Oh no. How about my
Whoa.
favorite Melinda Clark?
Kind of a hot zombie though.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Living Dead girl. We'd go there.
Yeah.
There you
No,
go.
Melinda
Here's my
Clark, that's the
favorite.
ultimate
Yeah.
zombie. Yeah.
Oh, I remember this. I remember seeing this on VHS and then on cable. Oh yeah,
I've
We
got on
remember this one.
VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I got the soundtrack. I got the
It's
poster.
G-Man's favorite movie. Yeah.
It's like my favorite movie.
This-
My first day. Check this out. My first day in university, I wore a custom-made, custom-printed Return of the Living Dead 3 shirt. And
Oh.
I was in class, and this guy, Max Reed, who Sean and Steve know, Max was like, "Like that shirt, man." I was like, "Buddy, we're on. Let's do it." And
Yeah.
then we were buddies.
It's film
in
night.
school. It was great.
Is-
Melinda
oh,
Clark
and,
brings people together.
well, she does. But also to go back to Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, have any of you guys seen a wonderful science fiction horror film which is set around the end of the 1800s called The Creeping Flesh?
Nope.
Heard of it? Haven't seen it.
You're gonna like it. I believe it's on Tubi. I think it's on
cool.
Tubi. I know it's on YouTube. And it is a
Ooh.
tragic story. It feels very Amicus. I don't think it is Amicus, but it feels very Amicus. And it has a fantastic premise. But it is a slow burn, okay? It's a quiet film until the end. But I do recommend it to you guys.
What
I
about?
do.
Is there
Go ahead.
something called Castle of the Screaming? Is there a sequel? Because
Oh
there's
no,
two coming up.
unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. No, the creeping flesh is very science fiction based with some anthropological, paleontological science based on it.
See, like check out the
Oh,
Screaming.
Castle and Creeping Flesh. I've seen that one. That's different.
I'm like, I gotta tell you, this one's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude, you're talking to a guy who likes Lucio Fulci and you know what? Jesse Franco. Can we talk about
Yes.
Jesse Franco?
Listen, I own almost all of Fulci and almost all of Argento, but
Oh yeah. Have you seen some of the Franco horror films? Jesse
what are
Franco?
what I know the name. What's one of the famous ones?
Yeah, you're gonna love this. And the moment I mention this, you can forget any monetization. Okay. The erotic rights of Frankenstein.
Okay, I've heard. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I know Jess Franco. That's
Jess
Yeah, it's
Franco,
not-
yeah.
It's
Let me-
not.
let me-
It's actually not that X-rated. It's got a little bit of nudity, but it's a surrealist film with some sexual. Yes, that sexual, sexy, not sexual, sexy moments in it, and it's just a weird ass film. It's just so bloody strange. And Jess Franco was one of the strangest men of all, but he did a horror, suspense thriller film that I love in the 1960s, done in black and white, called The Diabolical Dr. Z. And
oh.
I will be sharing that with anyone who wants to watch it. But oh man, it is just everything. Imagine a supreme pervert got a hold of the 1960s Avengers series on television and decided to make a movie out of it.
There's my Avengers tattoo right there.
Yeah.
I got Emma and John, Steed and Peel.
Oh man,
I love Avengers.
I love the Avengers, and Diana Rigg is obviously the first lady of the Avengers, but they had a lot of great ladies aside from her as well.
Honor Blackman was on there.
Honor Blackman, yes.
What did
Tara
Mr. Angel
King
want
was,
us to repeat? What
what's her name?
title?
No,
Sorry?
we did,
Pardon?
Title
we did
repeated.
The Creeping Flesh.
Creeping Flesh is. I put it in the chat.
Yeah, the Creeping Flesh. You got to
Yeah.
put the in it. The
Yeah.
Creeping Flesh.
Yeah.
And I think it's around from 1971 or 1972. And then another one that was fantastic, where thank God Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee got to be heroes for once, and we had Telly Savalas playing a Cossack. Horror
Right.
Express.
Horror
Oh,
Express, yeah.
that's a Sean. Yeah, Sean likes
I
that one.
love that movie. And the zombies have like blood pouring out of their eyes and
Yes,
stuff.
and they're like boiled egg eyes when they get, you know,
it's
they get taken
it's
over.
creepy. Yeah. For a
Well,
long time, I think that people thought that was a public domain movie because it was on so many discs.
Yes.
And now you can't find it anywhere. So
you can always find it on archive.org because
Yeah.
this is what I love about archive.org. People are thinking, hey, you want to take down this horror film, but the public deserves to have access to it despite the rights issues. So, you know, all you got to do is wait a month, punch in the title of the movie you want, punch in archive after that. It's going to take you to a link and you'll be able to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, Horror Express is up there right now. Horror Express, I believe I checked about 2 weeks ago, is actually uncut on YouTube, and it gets taken down, but it gets put up again.
Yeah.
And the more I was lucky enough, you're going to love this, Sean. They re-released it around, I think, 1978 or 1979 theatrically with a good print. And the first time I saw that, I was a little kid in the theater seeing that uncut.
They've got the
That's
Blu-ray.
awesome. That was a late night find for me. I was just flipping around. And, what's this? It's cool.
They've got the
And
Blu-ray
the
on
missing
Amazon.
link thing, all the science in it,
Yeah.
you know, when they're like checking out the goop in the eye to try to find the images from like the days of the dinosaurs and stuff like that.
It's everything you want.
amazing.
It's so creepy and mysterious. And and the monster is awesome. And it's like it's from the prehistoric past. Like, what is it? You know?
Yeah, so I've got it now. I can get these movies in like a minute, so it's like I can give it to I can give it to who needs it.
Yeah, share it, man. Spread the wealth. Spread the wealth.
Once the stream is over, I'll finish getting it, and then that'll be it's
And the
available for me
music
to
is so
get.
great. And they have this weird sort of whistling motif throughout the music,
Right.
where it's just somebody whistling, and that is so Sergio from the good old Italian westerns. You know, it's just it's like the beautiful combination of the best Italian westerns with the creepiest science fiction horror film. And it's got so many sort of Doctor Who elements in it as well, where it starts out being science fiction and trying to analyze or discuss, or actually they're not even analyzing. They're trying to get a very important scientific discovery, the possible missing link from Tibet, where they find it using the equivalent of the Orient Express to get back to Europe. That is a fascinating concept right there.
It looks cool.
I don't know if you're watching the new Creepshow TV series on Shudder, but I only get the Blu-rays. I don't have Shudder, but
dude, Shudder won't play to Australia. I asked them every month. They will not show Shudder in Australia. Not available in your country right now. But
you know what?
Later.
You know what turned me off of Shudder is that like Shudder is based in Toronto, and when it first came out, it wasn't available in Canada. So I was like, well, screw you guys, right? But I want to say though, there's an episode of Creepshow where they actually have an homage to Horror Express, where Justin Long creates a machine where he can go into the movie. And he's like interacting with like Peter Cushing. It's so weird because I was watching. I was like, "My God, I thought I was the only one in the world that knew about this movie." But yeah, no, it's cool.
You were Hungry Boy, and you are the same person. No.
Well, no. You know what? Okay. So in comic book terms, call me Bizarro Sean.
There you go.
I want to check the poll, so I put a poll up.
Okay.
So we've got 6 votes. I just put best horror movie of 2022, and I just kind of just whatever. So right now, Halloween Ends and Barbarian are tied with 33% each. Terrifier 2 is at 17, and I just put X or Pearl because they're both the same. I mean, they continue into each other. And that was 17%. Come on, Terrifier 2. Oh, no, hold on. It just changed 2 seconds ago.
How did that happen?
Oh, did you go and vote, Sean?
Hey.
What did you better have voted for Terrifier 2 or I'm going to
I just did. That's why it shifted.
Listen, it's like Sean hasn't
I was
seen
like, how the hell is Halloween Ends winning? Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, that was
I know.
Damn.
Terrifier 2 has shipped. And Steve and Sean, I think I'm going to do you guys separate. I'm going to do just Steve and then just Sean. I don't want all 3 of us to be together because we're going to be laughing too much. I need it to just be 1-on-1, and then because I also want to watch it more times. So I'm gonna do. Steve and I will watch it first. We'll test the waters with Steve. If Steve doesn't throw up, we'll go to Sean.
Highly doubt I'll throw up.
You might pass out. We'll skip All Hallows Eve. You guys can watch All Hallows Eve on your own. It's pretty good. There is a robot alien that's a killer. It's a killer robot alien. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat, right?
I can't argue with that.
I'll see if I can find a picture of it. But and then we'll watch the 2 Terrifier movies. Okay, so I watched so recently I watched The Void. And we'll get to that in just one more second. There was another movie that came out this year that had like a robotic Santa killer or something. Owen from the Action Elite turned me onto it. I just haven't had time to watch it. So I don't know if it's good, but it seems like it's kind of neat. You can look at Sean, you can look it up. I have the movie, I just haven't watched it yet.
Another horror movie this year that we haven't mentioned is The Black Phone.
Oh, you saw that, right?
Was that this year? Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on that, Steve?
Other than I hate nepotism, so when I saw Joe Hill's face, I got pissed. But I mean, the movie overall was good, but it was like the problem is that again, I think they forgot they were making a movie because the whole thing is about like the actual Black Phone is amazing. Like the idea behind it is awesome.
Right.
But it's really got to be about the kid in the basement and Ethan Hawke's character. And like him using the Black Phone to try and figure out how to escape. And is Ethan Hawke going to get onto him and he's getting this help from the Black Phone and he's going to do something about it? / what does Ethan Hawke need? Like, what's he doing with him? The thing that
is Ethan Hawke the serial killer in that movie?
He's a serial killer, but it's okay. I get weirded out by people who just kidnap children and then kill them. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me because if you look at like real life serial killers, they use the kids for usually sex or something. And I feel like horror movies don't want to go that far. They don't want to depict that. Right. So they don't want to do that sort of thing. So it's just they kidnap them and then kill them. And it's just, it's almost like you're missing something. But the problem is that so the whole thing between him and Ethan Hawke is fine. But then the movie felt it needed to go to the kid's sister going to the alcoholic father Jeremy Davies to try and find him. And she's like, praying to God and that, and having a snit fit about that. And I'm like, this is taking away from the movie because the movie is literally this tension between, is the kid going to figure out how to get out in time before Ethan Hawke kills him?
Right.
And then we're going to this daughter, like this sister, and that's like, you're not going to find him in time. I've watched enough movies where I understand that if the kid's going to escape, he's going to escape on his own.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just wasted screen time or whatever.
It's just wasting time. It's just it's a pacing problem.
Right. All right. So this is the alien. Now I found the alien. So Art the Clown is also in Terrifier. Like he is the main guy. So Art's the main guy. But there's this other thing too. It's different people.
Not Terrifier.
I'm sorry. All Hallows
Eve. Yeah.
And Sean found the name of this. This is this one. This cyborg Santa killer thing. So I have not watched this yet, but I plan on watching it.
I'm intrigued.
We on The Void.
Before we go on to that, J-Man.
Yep.
I just using Tweety DM'd you the Wikipedia page for the 1945 anthology horror film from Britain. It's called Dead of Night.
I've heard of this one. Yeah, this looks wicked.
It's very good.
All right,
very
I'll
good.
get that. Let me see how fast I can get it.
Yeah. I think it's on archive.org. I go to archive.org for bloody everything these days. Archive.org it's like, we can't be bothered doing torrents. All you young kids can do the torrents. We're just going to create a new situation for us on Archive. We're just going to load them up, and you take us down. We'll create a new pseudonym next week, and we'll put out the movies again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get it. I can get in like 2 minutes, so that's fine. See, the where I go, I buy everything. Well, firstly, I buy everything usually, but it is getting expensive now. So because I own almost, I had almost 4,000 movies. I had to get rid of 1,000. I got rid of 1,000 movies, and now I have 3,000.
Yeah.
But there's a place I go to which has condensed movies with surround sound and their Blu-ray rips. So this is like a Blu-ray quality with surround sound. So it's usually pretty good. So I got Dead of Night, The Ritual, Horror Express was the other one that you guys wanted me to get. Okay. And Steve Needs the Void. I'll write that down.
And Creeping Flesh. You got to see the Creeping
Flesh.
Flesh.
Creeping Flesh, yes. The Creeping Flesh.
I will warn you, it's got a real downer ending. No spoilers.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I don't know if I'd call The Void the happiest ending in the planet.
But it was a tribute to Fulci.
Right.
Now, without any spoilers, that ending, and we're not going to spoil anything for anyone, that was like a tip of the hat to the Beyond.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
I
that.
love the Beyond. Steve got me the Beyond. Oh, we got all
in San Francisco.
It's so that was the tin. They had those special limited edition tin DVD sets numbered. I still have that one from the Beyond that Steve got me. I really should upgrade that to the Blu-ray, but I would never sell the tin because it was such a cool.
Yeah.
It was such a cool thing. But yeah, here's The Void. So oddly enough, all of this is in the movie. Like you're looking at this picture here, like how is this one? It's all in there. It's all in there. It's all in there. So
and it's not crammed together. I mean, the pacing and the editing is perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh yeah, this guy was the best, man. I was like,
yeah.
I got to get a Void shirt. I'll have to get a shirt because I got a Terrifier shirt coming.
I mean, I do love him as a villain, but the other thing I really like is before we see him in that form, so to speak.
You're right.
He is very much like a middle-aged guy you might have seen in a Hellraiser film that was never made.
Right. It's like, I mean, this movie is definitely worth getting. I'm trying to see like what the availability is. It looks
around.
like. Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit pricier.
It was pricey when I got the DVD. It was. Yeah,
because they've got a great. I don't know. This would be, what are you region 2 or what?
I gave up when I was watching DVDs a lot. I got a region free player, and I just gave up on regions.
Okay. Yeah, because I think this is a region 1. Oddly enough, it actually says if you like this movie, you could also get the Beyond, which is funny.
That makes sense, though. That makes sense.
Yeah, so there you go. The Beyond. Let me see what that's looking like on Blu-ray these days. Oh, yeah, they've got it. Yeah, it's still $60 or whatever. I should have bought it when it was 50. Which is crazy. Oh yeah, so let's see The Void. So yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much for Steve. Steve, you should watch this like sooner than later because it's really cool. I did not watch part 2, Brian. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think yeah, you don't watch for the happy endings, no.
Yeah.
No. This isn't a massage parlor. This isn't a massage
I don't mind
parlor.
a downer. I don't mind a downer in something that is interdimensional horror. And this is interdimensional horror. I mean, for lack of a better term, one of the things they were really selling the Kickstarter on is this is not strictly H.P. Lovecraft, but H.P. Lovecraft fans will love this.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the way they sold it, and that's how they got their budget to do it. And I think they gave everybody what they wanted. And I think, unlike a whole bunch of other films that have been coming out for the past 6 years, they didn't make false promises with this movie at all.
Right.
No, it amps up. Like it starts off, you're like, okay. You're like, yeah. As soon as so you got the cultist guys outside. You're like, okay, well, yeah, these guys are weird. and at first you're not sure exactly what is exactly going on outside, because you see one of them, you're like, okay, this guy is kind of weird, and then you're like, oh shit, but then it's like, okay, well then meanwhile inside you're like, what is happening? It's like, this is what the hell is going on? Is what you got to see. What Steve, I don't say it, but when they go to the to that location and that person is laying on that gurney, I'm like, yeah, this is like what the hell? I'm like, it's over. Like I know in Rambo he's like, it's over, Johnny. It really was over. I'm like, yeah,
It was over.
You can't do shit at this point.
The also one thing that I really liked was the tight scripting of it, and the careful attention to tight scripting, where there are elements for the first 40 minutes of the film where you're thinking, are these unrelated? Are these going to be red herrings?
Yeah.
How is this going to match up? And they match up everything by the end. It's all matched up.
So I wanted to ask from that comment, did you guys appreciate the ending of The Mist or no?
The Mist.
Which one? There were two endings.
Yeah, the book. Not the book. Sorry, the movie. The movie.
There were two endings to the movie. There was the theatrical one, and then there was the one that they also filmed that was provided on the DVD that I saw. I watched both of them. So there's a really downbeat ending, and then there's this happier ending.
The one in the theater.
It's strange that they're mixed. Like,
this is like Descent. This is like the Descent. There's like different. I saw Mist in the theater. I think all of us went together, right, or no?
Nope. I saw it separately.
Oh,
I saw it with you, Jamie.
Okay, so
I was living
Sean
elsewhere at the time, I think.
Oh, okay. So Sean and I went together, and I liked the downer ending, except it was too fast. It was like they shoot themselves or whatever, and then it's like, oh, there's the cops. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
they shot. Like, you couldn't have waited 1 minute. Like, it should have been longer. And then it's like, okay, we have nothing else to do. We have to kill ourselves because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, there was too many endings crammed together at once.
Right.
This is the professional. Oh, sorry. You go, Steven. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Yeah, no worries. I find with The Mist and Hungry, I don't know if you found this, I liked it a lot better when I watched it in black and white.
Yes.
It just seemed to hit the tone better.
Yes, I would have preferred them to actually recapture sort of the 1968 Night of the Living Dead black and white a bit better. I think we needed more contrast, a little bit more playing with the exposure. Because this seemed honestly like a really good YouTuber turning a color film into black and white. Yeah. But I did like the black and white, but being an artist, I pay attention to those things, and I know how to turn things into black and white a certain way to give it that spice and razzle. Like my favorite black and white horror suspense film in terms of the look of it is actually a really cheap film set in Ireland called Dementia 13.
Yes.
You guys know. And the look of that is great when they get those high contrasts.
Yep.
And I would have preferred that for this, and a little bit of grain, just a little bit of film grain. But the thing is that I was listening to J-Man saying, I love the way when he's speaking about the pacing of it and the ending of it, and that's when I can just hear the professional writer speaking, going, I know how this should have been done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
is everyone having problems? I can't turn up the volume on the stream, Mr. Angel. It doesn't work. That we can only adjust our volume levels. I think mine's. Do I sound okay?
Yeah,
because I
can hear everyone. So
yeah.
I can turn up mine a little bit, but I don't want to start clipping because that's going to hurt people's ears, and I'm very conscious of ear damage. Very conscious.
Yeah, I think there's nothing much I can do. It could just be the internet. Like, the connection says it's fine. The levels show they're okay. So that's like literally all you can control on StreamYard.
If it's one of us that's too quiet, then we can adjust our volume individually.
Yeah.
But if you would tell us which one of us is too quiet individually, Mr. Angel, I will pump up my volume if necessary. But if it's overall, I don't think there's anything we can do.
Yeah, and I can't even. I'm on my highest level of mic. The other mics are like way low.
This is actually an opportunity, because here is something that drives me crazy about independent horror films made ever since 2008. When people do not know how to use the mic properly, everything's too quiet, it's too muffled. You know, if you're gonna, dialogue is integral. Hearing the dialogue and understanding the dialogue so we understand the plot is integral to a good horror film. It's integral. And I separate horror and slasher. I hope I'm not too much of a pagan heathen on that one. But, you know, when you're looking at a film like The Void, or you're looking at a film like From Beyond, you need to hear every word the characters are saying because they're explaining the plot to you. And if you understand the plot, the horror becomes more horrifying. And if we can't hear them, if it's all just like, you know, some mumblecore rap crap, then we're missing out on most of the film. So I would sometimes suggest to young filmmakers, if you're making a horror film, spend a little extra money in getting the right boom guy and getting a decent shotgun mic instead of the $62 shotgun mic on wish.com.
Now, what are your guys? Now, I've got this movie, Society. I actually have this version of it.
Oh, yes!
Well, what do you think of this one? Any fans of Society, man?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is a great movie. Like, look at this.
Oh,
yeah,
the ending, dude.
I remember you showed it to me. I was like, this is messed up, man. This is.
But it was so much foreshortening. It was all leading up to that moment. Again, it's a very artistic film.
Yeah.
For the people involved in it, it's actually quite deep, and there's a lot of satire involved. I mean, Society. Oh, but you know, there's the certain face that's going into the certain body part of the certain other person at a certain moment in that scene. And I'm like, oh, you really went there? You really went there? I mean, you went there of all places? Yes. Sean's laughing. You know what I mean. That face and that body part, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely uploading this GIF right now.
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
Oh, it's gonna let me do it. I'm so happy. This might become one of my regulars now.
God.
You're gonna while that's uploading, you can have one of these.
What did you think about Society, Stephen?
I thought it was well, I got the satire for sure. I thought it was like really funny, and it was just like by the time we get to that scene with the like the intertangle, I'm like, this is just bonkers, man. This is awesome.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty damn decent.
Do you think that certain people who had to, like people like us who had to grow up with yuppie relatives, find more satisfaction in the film?
Yeah. I think like anyone who knows yuppies would really appreciate that film, for sure.
Yeah. Even
it's the same as American. It's not a horror movie, but American Psycho, right? That whole like mindset and that whole period of time, like growing up in the 80s and the materialism and all that at all costs. It's just you have to understand that sort of era to appreciate it, I think.
Well, yeah, you look at the way Breakfast Club is rejecting all of those tropes, etc. So Society is like the Breakfast Club on Hunter S. Thompson acid.
And it's just weird anyways, because like, she's there. He's like, "Oh, I'll have some tea." And she's like, "Oh, would you like some pee in it?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like,
and nowadays that's just a moment on OnlyFans, right?
Yeah, you gotta pay extra for that. You got a tip jar or whatever. So I mean, okay. But what else? That I already got one strike. No.
Do you guys like going to more mainstream popular crap nowadays? Do you guys like the A Quiet Place movies? And
yes, I like A Quiet Place.
I don't.
And
Steve didn't like it.
Don't Breathe and all that. Don't Breathe to me is a thriller.
It was okay. Yeah, Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe 1 and 2. Yeah, but
I didn't see part 2.
A Quiet Place is more creature feature type stuff to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't explain. Like J-Man asked me recently, you didn't like A Quiet Place? I'm like, it's kind of too quiet. No, it was just I just found it. I don't know. It's just stuff I've heard before. It's just stuff I heard before. I've seen before. I felt like I was watching a very long Twilight Zone episode, and I know like you can literally say that for a lot of movies, right? Like you can say
all that.
Pretty
Every
much.
movie that comes out is a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh yeah,
right. but like this one really felt like it to me, like more so than usual. So that's probably why I just went. I tuned it out at one point. I just was like, yeah, I think I know where this is going. It didn't really intrigue me that much. So
yeah, I thought 2 was better as an adventure, and so just a better plot. Like I don't know. I was trying to go through like what my favorite modern horror movies are. And to me, modern horror is maybe like 99 onward, I guess. But like, I don't like anything. Like it's
Sean.
You know, and the thing is, it's okay. None of it. Like Train to Busan was cool.
Yeah,
but
that was
that's
cool.
Korean, right?
I really like.
Yes,
delightful
movie.
But in terms of American horror, I find a lot of it to be just pale copies of great stuff I've seen before, right?
Right.
And it's, you know, in terms of creepy stuff, like the thing is, modern horror to me now, what kids like today, this is just my opinion. What kids like today is kayfabe horror, where it's like horror purported to be real. That's been really, really big in the past 20 years, especially on the internet.
That creepy pasta
TikTok
crap,
and all that stuff. And creepy experience over consequence. It's like J-Man always talks about like nothing happens in this movie because what you want is what you grew up with. Like people get annihilated if they do something wrong, right?
Right.
Whereas nowadays there's no teeth to any of this. It's like something creepy happens and they walk away, and then they're like, "I'll never forget that time," and that's kind of it, right? You know,
this is my
thing. Wait, hold on. Considering what Sean said, and to back it up with J-Man, because you guys are like Wolverine and Nightcrawler together, you know, in your partnership. And I say that I'm not being sarcastic. You understand the love and appreciation I'm giving you there, right? Because I'm an old school comic book lifer. Old school comic book lifer. A modern film that was not American made, but J-Man was going to bring this up. And I'm surprised we haven't brought this up yet, where when you're looking at consequences and a film that's all about consequences, but in the most awful way, is the remake of Suspiria.
Right.
Right. That was good.
I can, that, like The Elephant Man, there are some films I can only watch once in a lifetime and I will never watch again.
Yeah.
The remake of Suspiria is that. Okay.
I own both Elephant Man and Suspiria.
Yeah.
But both Suspirias. Well, I just want to say something what Sean said. I've always said this. It's like these like paranormal inactivity where like nothing happened. It's like everyone's like, that's so scary. It's like, no. So if I'm doing this live stream right now and let's say one of my toys moves behind me, to me, that's just an irritation. I'm like, it took me 5 minutes to pose that figure. Like, okay, I've got Becky Lynch right there. If Becky Lynch moves, it took forever to pose her properly to stand. So this ghost is a loser, right? It's like, do something. I hate that crap. That's why I like Terrifier. He just comes and obliterates you. You're like, you're paced. You're literally paced afterwards. I'm like, okay. Now, Suspiria was cool.
The paranoid craptivity films have been, I've been bitching about these films since they came out. Okay. Yeah. And I'll tell you why after I complete this comment, because the worst thing they can do, here's the essence of it. Oh my God, the metaphysical supernatural beastie ruined my selfie.
Right.
This is what it comes out to.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at what I used to refer to as the blasé bland bitch project. I hated that movie.
Yeah,
I hated Blair Witch also.
That was terrible.
Everyone went to go see it in the theater and they were throwing up and they're like, oh, because it's like the motions. I walked up, I was like, I know why they're really throwing up, because nothing happened. No. It's like they're throwing up from boredom. You're just like, God. And we sat and we went with a buddy of ours, Skullman. And Skullman was like, I've never seen anyone get up and leave. So he's like, this movie sucks. He got up to leave. I was like, whoa. I was like, I like to watch the whole credits, even if it's a shitty movie. I like to watch everything. And man, that movie sucks.
Was I there with you?
I don't know if you came with us, Sean.
I don't know.
I know. I think it was before we knew him. No,
Skullman and I went together to that movie because Skullman was like, it's going to be the scariest thing of all time and whatever. When did Blair Witch come out?
No, Blair Witch is
like 98.
98. It's I know. I don't know what you're talking about, J-Man.
No, I'm positive.
We met Skullman 2001.
Who did I see Blair Witch with?
Me and our mutual friend, starts with an R.
Really?
Yeah.
It had to be. It's 99.
Yes. Okay. Skullman. Yes, it's coming. Yes, Skullman told me the story of how he was all pumped up and then was angry. So he told me that story, and I, for some reason, thought I was there. But oh, that's crazy. Maybe it was Blair Witch 2. Maybe it was part 2.
Part 2 is just their normal movie.
Yeah, I didn't mind part 2 actually. But anyways, nothing happens in Blair Witch. The kids.
Nothing happens in Blair Witch, and I came out of it. Somebody said, you know, one of my horror film fan friends said, "What did you think?" I said, "Moratorium on snot bubbles."
Yeah. And same with these other movies too. I'll defend Quiet Place for just a second because we've got to be done in about 15 minutes, so 15-minute warning.
Yeah.
Look, Quiet Place, everyone said it was great, which means it sucks, right? Usually. So I didn't watch it, and then I owned an escape room. So Hungry Boy, I don't know if you know this. I owned an escape room for about 5 years. We had to close down because of the pandemic. So I had an escape room business, and my employee really liked Quiet Place. I was like, nope. I was like, if you like it, it must suck. And she's like, no, it's really good. So then I was like, okay, let me watch it. So I went in thinking it was going to be a garbage shit fest. But I'll tell you what turned me around. First 5 minutes, they said, don't make a noise. It's like, okay. And the kid made a noise, and the little kid got eaten by monsters. I thought, because that means that this movie is willing to kill a kid for making a dumb mistake. So I gave it props. I was like, guys, listen, man, this kid was an idiot. He's making a bunch of noise. That monster ate him.
God. Oh my God. Raquel, I hope you're not lurking. Please, Raquel, don't be lurking. But I respect that because this proves that, like me, you are a true Cronenberg baby.
I love Cronenberg, man. It's like I did like a paper on him. I took a Cronenberg course. I have his book. I've watched all of his movies. I rebuy them all on better edition. Scanners is one of my favorite.
Tremors is still hard to take. I'm in my 50s now, and I rewatched Tremors 2 years ago. Shivers. Yeah. Oh no, this is no.
I just rewatched Shivers like 2 weeks ago. I thought it was like I thought it was a comedy. I'm like, this is awesome.
It's well, again, it's got that satire thing like in Society. Yeah, but he did it before Society.
He did.
Miss Rachel, is that an Indian movie? Like I'm looking up now. It's Vastu Shastra. I'll totally watch it. I love when Indians make horror movies. I'm a big Ramsey Brothers fan, so so I'll totally watch this.
And listen, if Rajinikanth better show up and kill everything, or else I'm not watching that.
He'll just like roundhouse kick everybody out of the way. Yeah.
Oh, I love the Blob. Absolutely loved it. When kids get listen, that kid effed up, didn't he? He's supposed to not make noise.
You mean the 80s one, right?
I love all the 80s
one. Yeah. I like all the Blob movies. I even enjoy Son of the Blob. That's how bad I am. With JR, bloody JR Ewing in Son of the Blob. But now, with the 80s one, you have that kid who was so bloody obnoxious, and you're supposed to feel guilty when he gets dissolved, and you're thinking, nah, I'm clapping for this.
Yeah, screw that kid.
J-Man loved it when the kid got his arm destroyed when he stuck his arm down.
And then I don't like the rest of that movie because Pennywise can't kill 9 kids. I'm like, what is he up to? Jason can kill a lot of them. He's killed a lot of teens, not kids, but these are kids. It should be a slim pick. It should be very easy to kill these. Trust me, if Art the Clown showed up, Art would have cleaned house in that movie. He would have been
Art the Clown. Let's just be honest. Art the Clown is a better supernatural clown than Pennywise. And because he's not a prehistoric interstellar spider.
He's a spider. Yeah.
He's a spider. Yeah.
He's a spider. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, Art the Clown can do no wrong. He
can do no wrong.
And he makes his own homemade weapons. There's the homemade, like he's got that table leg that he makes, and he spends time making. And then they're like, the guy just spent 5 minutes making. You can see it's a montage of him making a weapon, and you're like, oh, he's gonna use that weapon. And when he uses that weapon, he uses it. Like this wasn't a weapon that was just built for a 5-minute montage. If there's a montage, have you ever seen a montage of the killer creating a unique weapon? You're like, I can't, like, what? And then you're like, is he gonna use this because this looks deadly? And when he uses it, you're like, holy crap!
I got a follow-up joke for you, J-Man. Okay, you know how SNL had horrible, Saturday Night Live had horrible ratings until they brought Chappelle back on for the opening?
Okay.
How do you follow that up? How do you follow that up? You get the clown from Terrifier being the host.
Oh, that would be the best. That'd be the only Saturday Night Live episode I've watched since Chevy Chase was on or something. But like, they should get Terrifier on. Well, he's coming to Niagara Falls, and I will be the first person in line.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, he's in costume and character.
He's in costume and he does costume. Yeah, so I will be the first person in line, and we're all going to go together, or whoever's coming with me, I don't know, but I will be first of us. So I cannot wait.
versus The Last of Us.
Versus
The Last of Us, yeah.
Well, I just saw there's a there was a movie that came out called Speak No Evil, and I haven't seen it yet, but it was on. I'm on a group called Give Me Back My Horror Movies, which is run by Charlie, and the guy posted a thing saying "Speak No Evil," and he goes, "Oh, this horror movie sucks." So I posted saying, "Oh, have you seen the prequel? See No Evil, Hear No Evil," and it's Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. And because it's called Speak No Evil, and they didn't get that, so I was like, I put that so it looked like
The other two of the same.
I was like, this is the prequel, and that got a good laugh. But oh my gosh, okay, so 10-minute warning. Anything else to get to in 10 minutes? I mean,
I would like to make one recommendation because
Yes.
J-Man, I believe we both mutually appreciate Roger Corman and what he
Yes.
did. Okay, so like we said, Tubi and Netflix, etc. These are like the new drive-ins. This is like the new Grindhouse theater. And there was a film made a couple of years ago for almost no money, but they were trying really hard. And they knew what they were doing. They put all their budget into getting one star who I really like. Clobby also really likes him, by the way. Ted Levine from Monk and the Mangler.
Oh my
Ted
God,
Levine
yeah.
was in the Mangler. He was the police detective.
Yeah.
And this film is called Banshee Chapter. And
Yes, I've seen that around.
yeah, it is honestly worth a watch. You have to understand these people had like $5 to make the movie, and they went into the poorhouse getting Ted Levine's price to be in it. But Ted Levine is playing the equivalent of a modern day Hunter S. Thompson,
wow.
like from Naked Lunch in the film. And yeah, there it is. And it honestly is very satisfying. Don't expect too much out of it. But if you go in with the same expectations as you would have with, say, Monster from the Ocean Floor, one of Corman's first movies, or Night of the Blood Beast, you'll be fine and you will enjoy it. And it does have some delightfully creepy moments, and the actors are putting everything into it. And the way I can define a really good low-budget horror film is, are the people involved looking ashamed to be in a horror film, or are they
Right.
looking like they're totally into just having the job and working with a good script? Because if they're into working with the job and the good script, I can roll with it.
Okay, I will definitely check that one out. And
It's on
I've seen
Tubi right
that
now.
around.
It's still on
Yeah.
Tubi. It's still on Tubi for free.
Yeah, Tubi's like I actually go to Tubi first. Crazy enough, like I usually
Me
hit
too.
Tubi, and then like my wife likes Netflix because she watches all the British shows on there.
Yeah.
So she likes that's her go-to, and there's also a lot of Japanese shows. So it's like she
Yes.
just rotates between the British shows and the Japanese shows. For me, I go to Tubi as soon as I go. Well, right now I've been watching all the Steven Seagal movies on Tubi, and
Yeah.
yes, I will come out and say they're the worst movies of all time. So just to confirm, I know everyone thinks they're bad, but I'm here to confirm that they are bad.
Yes, but they're good bad.
But
They're like
well,
MST3K. They're MST3K bad.
I don't even know if they're good bad. They're kind of just bad. I don't know if they're good. Like my wife usually reads manga while I watch these movies. She now reads manga by turning away from the TV. She can't even stand to have it in her peripheral vision. She actually
Oh my God, you married well. You married well.
Listen, Steven Seagal literally uses stuntmen to walk. like there's no, you gotta stop laughing. Stop laughing.
God, oh.
No, I'm dead serious. I'm not joking. No, I'm not joking. There's parts
there's
where
my
it's like
cough.
he's walking, and you're like, and if you're not paying attention, you're like, wait, who's that character? Because you can tell it's not him, and you're like, oh my god, that's supposed to be Steven Seagal. He won't even walk. So you got to watch Space Ice. I know I keep pumping this guy up, but Space Ice's channel, he makes fun of that. He's like, Steven Seagal leaves the movie and someone else takes over. And you're like, no one questions this. It's like, no, and then there's one part where like, there's like, this guy did a spin kick and you're like, that was supposed to be Seagal? No way. He weighs like 400 pounds at this point.
J-Man, I got to give you a compliment here. I want you to take this the right way since we're talking about horror films.
Yeah.
You made me laugh so hard and I coughed so hard, I nearly threw up. And it hurts. It hurts, and I'm holding it down, but you are the man. That is the J-Man.
Oh, you gotta watch. I just watched Force of Execution.
Oh,
If anyone can tell me the plot, I will give them $10 Canadian. It's incomprehensible. And don't tell me the plot from Wikipedia. No, Sean, I can already see, Sean, you look down your no, don't type it in Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I want you to watch it and then tell me. Don't Wikipedia it where someone literally watched it 15 times and wrote out what it is. I watched it twice.
$10.
I watched it twice. I watched the first hour, then I rewound the hour. I said, I don't understand what's going on here. Did I miss something? I rewatched it. And my wife's like, have you seen this? It's like, you can't tell them apart. So I was like, no, this is the same movie. And she's like, I'm like, I can't understand what's going on. She's like, you could understand what's going on in the other 3 movies you just watched. I'm like, yes, I could understand those. I could not understand this one. It was so brutal.
can I follow up with one little joke before we wrap up?
Yeah, go for it.
So you're watching Tubi for Steven Seagal,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do a call back to about 40 minutes ago. I watched Tubi for Felissa Rose.
Yes.
A lot of Felissa Rose movies on Tubi.
As long as it's not Felicia Rose from Sleepaway 1 with the
No,
but
that scene. Now we have to give them credit though. That was a very without CGI. That was a very hard moment to capture. And that awful expression on her face and that weird, strange male roar that came out of her. That was I did not have any spoilers for that film the first time I saw it.
Too.
And I was just staring at it going, I had a crush on that for 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, I know that was for shocking endings. That was a dangling shot.
And luckily I had to find out. It's like, oh, please, God, please let that be a female actress who played that. Please. I don't want to be ass heels versus babyface. Please. Please. And thank God. Oh, it's a real woman. Oh, thank God.
Someone's watching that movie eating a hot dog at the very last moment. Like,
Or in Australia, a sausage roll.
Well, part 2 is great because you got Springsteen. What's her name? Springsteen's sister, Pamela Springsteen, who plays the killer, and she's a woman too, so it's fine now. But it's fine. I mean that movie would probably just get canceled anyways now, so it doesn't matter.
Remakes we don't need to happen.
Yeah, well, that'll never be remade. That's for damn sure. There's certain, like, I'm telling you, I want to do Exterminator 3. My 2 movies that I want to make a Spy Smasher movie. That's my superhero movie I want to do, and I want to make Exterminator 3, 4, and 5. And I would just continue making Exterminator movies.
Oh, that's so funny.
And trust me, they don't want my Exterminator movies.
No, they don't.
They don't, because that flamethrower is going to be like first scene, shove that flamethrower in the mouth and pump the flamethrower through that. And
nice.
Like melt from within. That'd be awesome. But yeah,
burn the back of the head out and have the flame come out the hole from the back of the head.
Yeah. My Exterminator movie would be the best. But okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna be in the chat for Clobby's stream coming up. Hungry
Ditto,
Boy, are you
yeah.
on the? Are you? You're just gonna be in chat, right? Or are you?
I'm
on
just
tonight?
I'm gonna be in chat. When it comes to comic books, Clobby will have me on.
Okay.
But generally with the Clubhouse, it's a Clobby, Raquel, Marc show.
Okay.
And that's the way it should be, because that's the perfect balance. I do not think it would actually work with a fourth person, even briefly. So, I mean, if Clobby ever asked me to come on briefly, I would say, okay, but then I would be very quiet and meek in the corner, unlike, what we're talking about today. But, I'm the person who's feeding Raquel all these science fiction films.
I've seen it.
And that's been going back for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, because she said, this algorithm is killing me. And she wanted something, smart sci-fi by her standards, and smart horror by her standards. And she says, I can't stand it. And so she put that on Twitter. And I said, I will help you defeat the algo beast.
Try to sneak in, like, throw in like Forbidden World or something. Like sneak in a couple
of. No, I would never do that. And I've seen that world from I've seen that film from that reaction. I do like that film. I do.
Sneak it in under the radar. She'll be like, "What is this?" So it's like, "What are you doing to me?"
Oh no. I mean, I understand exactly what her tolerance is for like gore and violence, etc. So I've got to really tread the line. I mean, she was even like a bit squeegee with Fiend Without a Face from 1958. So I thought, okay, if you're a bit squeegee with that, then I know where I'm going. Right. And with Altered States, she was just saying, she was I mean, to her credit, she watched the whole thing, but she kept saying blanket over the eyes. Mm-hmm. So she was pulling the blanket.
I thought that I remember that being a bit, I would have not recommended. I would have not thought that Raquel could finish that movie.
No, she could, because it's actually very academic and it's got a very strong. It's entirely sci-fi based,
right?
And
I haven't seen it in like
sci-fi based.
100 years or whatever. I haven't rewatched that in like
it's basically about someone being so dumb as to use ayahuasca to tap into their own genetic potential and go back to the beginning. But what they don't realize is the beginning is far farther back than they think the beginning is. And so if you start tapping into the primordial essence of life, you're going to become this weird psionic beast.
Cool.
At the end of it.
This again.
My friend, it's Dark Phoenix, code word Dark Phoenix. Bad move.
Yeah, my Skullman did ayahuasca. Remember that, Sean? He went.
Yes.
And I didn't go. I didn't go. He's like, oh, it was crazy. And then he's like, he drew all these weird things. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's, it is what it is. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you, Hungry Boy, for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
My pleasure and my honor.
Thank you. Sean, I know you're doing Sean's channel's links are in the description. I know you're posting more videos now.
Yep.
Steve, your book is out. We've got the links in the chat. So, it's horror short stories. So there you go. Yep. It could be a companion piece to Raquel's book, right? She's doing the sci-fi stuff. You're doing the horror stuff. I'm just doing
hey, Steve,
horror.
can you send me a link so I can spruik that on Tweety a bit?
Yeah, I'll send you
Put
my
in the private chat. Steve, there's a
website.
private chat. There's a private chat button.
Right.
Click
Okay,
on
I got
that,
private
and then
chat.
Hungry can see that. Hungry,
Yeah, and then you can send me a link, and then I can say, "Hey, people, you need to buy this."
Yes.
I'll send you my website because.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, let me do that. Go with that.
That should have links to the Amazon because
good
it's all on
books, too.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, that is it. Then I will see you guys, everybody, next week, and I guess Happy New Year. It'll be New Year by the time we see each other again, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Happy New Year, everybody.
And I've got the link. I got the link. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
I've copied.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.